Hey everybody, it's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. I am trying to get us situated. Make sure that I have everything in place for us. Let's see, hopefully it will kick in. Hey Clem, hey Rita, hey Lou. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up at the bottom of your video screen for me, guys. I would appreciate that. I have to wait and see how everything is looking because for me it looks fine, but it may not look fine on the actual um on the actual stream itself. I'm hoping that it will, but you know, I'm gonna move the camera forward a little and hopefully we get everything situated and set up for you. How's everybody doing? Have you guys had a pretty good week? I hope that everybody has been having a decent week. Let me see if I can get everything all up and ready and we're good to go. Oh, time to silence my phone, I think. Giving me calendar updates, things that are coming up tomorrow, all that good stuff. So let me put myself on do not disturb. And that way I won't have to worry. Hopefully everybody else will start popping in here. Hey Joyce, how are you? Thanks for joining us again this week. You guys, I am bringing you a really cool bundle this week. If you haven't been over to the blog at inkyhandswarmhearts.com, I have been using the Irresistible Blooms Bundle. It's going to be available tomorrow at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. That's always the Mountain Time is the time that the sales happen because Stampin' Up is located in Utah. So that's Mountain Time. So that means 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. And we will be having a bunch of products, not just this bundle, but I have a flyer for you. I'll have a few things to talk to you guys about today. So every 4 months or so, we're going to have an online exclusive premiere or whatever. So I guess it's called a premiere. And it'll be available for, they didn't tell us exactly. I think it's kind of going to be fluid, kind of like the kits collection, where some things go in and then they come back and then other things are out, and that's just how it's going to go. But I'll have new products for you every March, every July, and every November. So that'll be kind of cool. They won't be in any particular catalog or anything. You'll just have to go to my online store to find them. And I think it'll be a fun way to have pops of new products here and there. So it's, like I said, it's kind of like the kits collection, only it's not all inclusive. It's just regular products, but the same premise holds where the stuff is static. Hey, thanks for joining us. Glad you're here. My favorite kit by far is this Saying Thanks kit. I think it is the cutest kit. It's a non-stamping kit, and it's only $13 for 9 cards plus shipping. So this is a really fun one. And then, of course, the newest is the Wreaths and Bloom kit that came out in February. We'll probably have another one tomorrow, but I don't know what it is yet. And then the Years of Growth is the new paper pumpkin for March. You have until the 10th of March to sign up, and then they'll start shipping and billing on the 11th. And it comes with a free stamp set. This is what the stamp set looks like. And so it's going to have 2 stamp sets in there. This one has nothing to do with the kit, but there's another one in the kit that has to do with all the different cards that have been designed. It's just a bonus stamp set. It's the 10th anniversary of Paper Pumpkin, and they just wanted to celebrate how much they've grown with this free stamp set that has Happy Greetings, organic, and botanical designs. So it's kind of like a 10th anniversary celebration. We have a special box and all that good stuff. All right, another thing I want to talk about is celebration. Today is the last day, so you have until midnight Mountain Time to put in your order and earn freebies, and that includes the freebies in the More to Celebrate section. You only have until midnight Mountain Time, so 2 a.m. Eastern Time to get your freebies. And if we have a color refresh or colors coming back, as happens every 3 to 5 years, I think it's been 5 years since it's happened. We don't know for sure that it's going to happen. I haven't gotten any information yet. I hope that tomorrow I will see something. But if that happens, don't forget your favorite colors may go bye-bye. So what I recommend that you do is, today is like the last day, get the colors that you don't have reinkers for, or colors that are your favorite and maybe your reinker bottle is halfway full, because the likelihood of them disappearing as soon as the list is published of what's going away is pretty on point. It's always happened that way. People freak out, they get the reinkers, they buy the ink pads, and then before you know it, the color's not available anymore. So I'm hoping that all my people, I do tend to remind you to get a reinker when you order an ink pad, but I'm hoping that everybody has gotten the colors that they want. So tonight at midnight Mountain Time, end of celebration. The mini catalog is still going strong, but tonight we're focusing on the online exclusives. And this little, I'm going to bring it up close because as of tomorrow, you'll be able to scan that QR code and it'll take you to the selection of products, or you can just click on my link in the description of the video and go to my online store and they will be there. But this is the bundle that we are going to be using. I did a chart for the dies to show you that this die doesn't cut out completely. What it does is it leaves a hole in the cardstock, so it's great to put on the front of a card. And then this one's a pretty cool die as well. And then these, once you stamp these images, they die cut out. And then there are some extra dies. And then these are the sentiments. I love the font. I think they're super cute. And then there's the pricing. And then, of course, there's a speckle. And you guys know I love anything that has a speckle. This chart is on my blog, so you can find that on the website. I believe it's on Sunday. It might be Monday's post. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you what we're making today. We're making this really cute book box, I like to call it, because it looks like a book. It has a little slide, but it has a mini hand sanitizer inside. So I call it a book box. So I'm going to teach you how to make this today. The mini hand sanitizer fits perfectly into that little compartment. And whoops, it does fall out, but it stays in there pretty tight. It holds it in there pretty decent. I didn't know if it was going to fall or not, but it's not hard to get out, but it does hold it really pretty, and it's a nice presentation. And then you just slide in the little buckle that I made, which also has the DSP on the side. The DSP is part of this suite of papers. It's gorgeous. You guys will really enjoy the papers that go with this bundle. All right, let's get started, and I'm going to show you how to make it. I used the bundle like I said. I also added the decal rectangles. They're really fun, and I really like the little jagged edge that it gives my project. And then I absolutely adore this greenery die. It's called Stitch Greenery. And it's just one die. It's kind of like a background stamp, but a die. And this is what it does. It cuts out these fantastically stitched leaves all into your cardstock. And it's the size of a little bit bigger than a quarter sheet. I also put a piece on the inside. And I just think it works really well with pretty much any flower set that we have. All right, let's get going. I'm gonna start making our project. Let me move all this good stuff out of the way and grab all the parts and pieces. so that we can get to work. Thanks, Rita. Thanks, Clem. All right. So let's start the book box section, or the box part of the book right here, not the spine or the outer cover, but the actual box section, this part right here, takes a piece of cardstock that is 8 inches by 9 1/4. And of course, you guys know my best friend, the Simply Scoreboard, is going to come into play. The piece of cardstock that I'm using is soft sea foam. And we're going to go ahead and start scoring. Now, these score marks are on all 4 sides. So I'm going to do it 4 times. So you're going to get to see the same score marks 4 times, because I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate it as I go. So we're going to start at the 1/2 inch mark. So we're going to do at the 1/2 inch. And then we're going to do 1 3/8. So 1 and 1, 2, 3. And then 1 7/8, which is 1 less than the 2. So we're going to come to 1 7/8. And then 2 3/4. And there's some higher marked ones. The 3rd higher marked one is 2 3/4. And then we're going to rotate. We're going to do the same thing again. 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 2 3/4, rotate. 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 2 3/4, and rotate. We're going to do one more time. 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 1 7/8, 2 3/4. All right, then we're going to turn it where the 9 1/4 inch side is across the top. I'm going to bring this up here. Hopefully you guys can see these marks. They're kind of hard to see on light paper, but trust me, they're there. I'm going to flip to the other side. Maybe you'll see them a little better on the other side, because they're kind of lifted. But my lighting, it's kind of hard to see, I think, the lines, but they're there. I'm going to show you an example in a minute that'll make it all much easier to understand. But we're going to put the 9 1/4 inch piece, lay that across the top. And there's a section in the middle that's pretty big. Okay, it's this middle panel. And then you can see all these different score marks all the way down. So you're going to go to the 3 1/4 inch mark, and we're going to score to the 2nd score line. So this is the 1st score line, and this is the 2nd, and we're going to stop at that 2nd score line. So 3 1/4 inches down, okay, and at 6 inches to the 2nd score mark down, and we're just going to stop when we hit that 2nd score mark. And then we're going to rotate it around to the other side that's 9 1/4 inches. We're going to do the same thing. 3 1/4 inches to that 2nd score mark, 6 inches to that 2nd score mark. So when you're done, you're going to have a whole lot of scoring. I'm going to score another piece that we're going to use for the book binding, or the book cover and the spine. And this piece is 6 3/8 by 3 7/8 of an inch. And we're going to put the 6 3/8 side up, and we're just going to score it in 2 places. We're going to score it at 2 3/4, and then at 3 5/8. And that's going to form the little book. Okay, we'll burnish in a minute, but I just wanted you to see. And then, of course, that little buckle that we're going to use to close our book, this piece here, it also needs to be scored. And it's 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/4 inch. And down the 3 1/4 inch length, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And then 1 3/8. All right. So that's all the scoring that we're going to do. Now, before I burnish this, I'm going to do some cutting. So I want to explain to you guys what I'm doing when I'm doing this cutting. So I have made this chart, and it will be on my website. So there's a photo of it for you guys to reference and for you guys to use when you go to make this box. So because I have these diagonal lines and I wanted to show you where to tape and do all those good things, I made this graph, and it's going to make sense as I start cutting out. All the parts that have the X's on them is what you're going to use and cut away. That's going to disappear. All the solid black lines is what you're going to be left with at the end. And then all the dash lines are the pieces that have score marks on them once everything has been cut away. So I've numbered what we're going to cut first. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Those are the sections. When it's time to put our adhesive on here and roll it into the box, we're going to use these numbers. But for right now, we're going to cut away all of these sections that have an X on them. Okay? So I am going to start on the wide side. Let me see if I can bring it up to the camera and really show you guys what I mean by the wide side. So this has the widest part. You can see this rectangle in the middle. And this is the widest part. This is the more narrow. So I'm going to start on one of the wide sides. And I'm going to do some cutting. Okay? Hopefully you guys can see with the lighting. I'm going to add one extra light on in here. Hopefully it's not going to be too much. But I think we need just a smidge more light because this seafoam is kind of a light color. And hopefully that will help and not hurt what you guys can see. Okay? So I'm going to start on this section. And the first thing that I'm going to do is these little score marks that I did just to the second score line right here. I'm going to start with those. So I need to cut these first, okay? I have something on my tape here. I mean, on my scissor. So we're going to start here. We're going to cut down this score line right here, okay? And on this piece, when we get to that second score mark, we're going to diagonally cut to this score mark. So I'm going to do a diagonal right here. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to cut straight down here to that second score mark. And then I'm going to cut diagonal right there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm going to cut down that score mark that just went to the second score line. And when I get to that second score line, I'm going to cut on the diagonal. And I'm going to do the same thing here. That mark on the diagonal. All right? From there, these little square pieces on either side are going to be the tabs of my box. And you guys know what tabs are. They're the pieces that fold in. So they're going to be mitered, and they're going to become the tabs of my box pieces, okay? So the squares here and here, here and here are going to become my tabs. Are you guys with me? Don't fall asleep on me. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to cut my tab. Okay. I'm going to cut my tab right here. Right now I'm just doing it in a square. Okay. And then I'm going to cut straight down to meet that piece. And this is the piece that gets cut out of the corner. So see, it lines up with all of these little X's on my chart. We just have to do that 3 more times, okay? So we've already cut on the angle. So now I'm going to cut my tab on this side. The cool thing is you guys get to see it 4 times, so it makes a lot more sense. And we're going to make our tab, and then of course we're going to cut straight down this side. And then this is my second piece. All right, we're going to make our tab. We're going to finish that tab up by cutting it on this side, and then we're going to cut straight up to it. And that becomes our next piece with the X's that gets cut away. One more to go. We're going to make our tab. And then we're going to cut this piece straight up. And then that becomes our last piece on our chart. Someone tell me you're with me, guys. I can't hear you talking, so I need to know you're here. All right, so here's our tabs. Let's actually make them into tabs. So we're going to cut straight, 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 and straight. Now we have 4 tabs. Now we have to miter them. So we're going to cut away and cut away. Cut away, cut away. Okay, I'm assuming you guys are understanding. I don't hear anybody or see anybody saying anything. It may be YouTube that's delayed. But I just want to make sure you guys are understanding what I'm doing as I'm doing it, because if you have any questions, it's easier to stop where I'm at and explain than try and rewind. Okay, so let's do the last 4. Okay. So this is what we're left with. I'm going to put away these 4 pieces. They're not going to be used for anything else. And I'm going to show you that this is our little charted piece right there in the middle. Thanks, Reed. I appreciate that. I just want to make sure you guys are understanding me, because if not, I need to explain a little better. I try and think of every question, but sometimes, you know, there's other questions. So I'm going to discard this little pile of, it has so many little score lines. I mean, there's really nothing we can use this paper for. It's just scored too much. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that. All right. Now that we have our basic shape here, I'm just going to trim this a smidge more because I didn't realize I didn't get in that corner. The rest of them I did fine. All right. Now we're going to burnish, okay? So I'm going to move my chart out of the way. We're going to grab our bone folder, and we're going to go ahead and burnish on all the score marks. And you can see I'm putting them in, I'm rolling them inward. So that's what you want to do when you do yours. You want to roll them inward. So there's that set. Okay, now we're going to do the next one. I'm moving my little mat around, I think. We're going to bring our score marks in. And that one can roll in also, see? And here's our last one. And our last burnish. All right, so these pieces that are going to roll in are my red marks on my chart. The green marks on my chart are the back side where they roll in. This is the other end where they all roll in, okay? So the red is the first side where they roll in, and the green is the opposite side. So let me show you the red and the green. What the red and the green means is we are going to put tear and tape on those pieces. So let me grab the tear and tape. I can't cut it very well or tear it very well the way my fingers are, so you guys are just going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have to cut it. because I don't have the strength to tear them. So the first mark, you can see, we have on all 4 skinny pieces near the score mark, you're going to put your tear and tape. So we're going to put our tear and tape here near the score mark. I'm going to cut it to make my life easier, okay? And I'm just going to rotate. I'm going to do all those outer pieces. Let's rotate to the next one. One more. Right near that score mark. All right. So there's my 4 red tape pieces. And you can see that I also have them on the tabs right here. So we're going to do that next. So we're going to add those pieces to my tabs. One more tab. All right, then you're going to see the green marks. See the green ones? There's only 4. Thanks, Lou. So I'm going to flip this over because this is the red side. We're going to flip it over for the green side. And on the green side, it's all of these angled, where we did those angle cuts, that's where we're going to glue these, okay? So we're going to start here and go ahead and cut on all of the angled pieces. Cut. One more. So all of the angled pieces have a little piece of tear and tape there. You just need something for when you roll it in for it to be able to grab. So it's just a little added insurance. So what I'm going to do is that's it for the tear and tape for right now. So I'm going to use my bone folder and I'm just going to burnish that tear and tape in place. Now trust me, I don't use tear and tape very often, but I do use it for things that it needs to be used for. And this is one of those boxes. So I'm just going to go over the top and make sure that it's really adhered nicely. I always use my bone folder when I am burnishing my areas of my tear and tape. All right. Let's go ahead and burnish our book binding, or book cover and back cover and spine. And then we have our little pull tab piece. I didn't burnish those, but we're going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2. All right, that way everything's ready. Now, to pull tear and tape off, we want to use our take your pick tool or some kind of pokey or a scissor or something, and I always start in the middle, okay? So we're going to start with the 2 narrower pieces, not the wide ones, and 1 and 2. So you're going to work the 2 opposite sides. It doesn't matter if you start with this side first or this side first, as long as you do both of these one at a time. The first ones I'm going to take off are these middle pieces first. Okay. And then we're going to take off both of the I didn't mean to say roll, both of the side tear and tapes. Okay. So what we're going to do with the first one is we're going to roll this piece in, or not in, back, sorry. Once you do that, you're going to flip it over to the side that has the angled pieces, and we're going to roll this piece in to that side. So you're just going to form like a little tube, a little rectangle tube. And what you want to do is push that up so that the tabs are basically standing on their sides like this. I'm going to bring this down so that you guys can see a little better, and then I'll just bring it back up when we're done. So you want to roll that till you have the tabs standing up and down, and then this piece, and you can press it into place like this and just make sure that that's your first piece, okay? We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Remember, 1 and 2. So we're going to roll this. This is where the sticky is. Around. And we're going to bring that down so it's right along this seam here on that inner rectangle. So we're just rolling it. And then once we have it in place, we can push it flat and press it real good. You can use your bone folder if you want to, just to make sure that that tear and tape adheres really well. Now we're not going to be able to use our bone folder on our next pieces because we're going to have stuff in the way. So we're going to go ahead and pull our other 4 pieces of tape off. Our tabs are going to go in, which is why they have sticky tape on them, because they're going to help adhere our box. And then we're going to take these pieces off one at a time. And we're going to roll them in also. All right. So here we go. We're going to take these tabs and turn them in. See, they're going to become like the closures on these ends of these pieces of the tubes. Basically, we have a little rectangle tube there, you can see. And then this tab is going to cover it. Okay? So we're going to start with one side, and then we're going to do the opposite side. Remember, the tape's on the back, so the sticky's over here behind it. We're going to roll this forward, and then these tabs are going to help to square off this piece. So you want to make sure that when you push this into place, that your tabs, whoops, grab this little rectangled side right here. And I just push with my finger. And then I'm going to do my next one. That's why we put that adhesive on those tabs, so that it grabs and it squares our box up. Okay? Now we're going to roll this piece in, and it's going to go down at the bottom, same place that we did on the other side. You just have to push it towards that seam, and there it is. It's in place, and you can burnish it from the opposite side like this with your bone folder at the bottom of your box, just to get that tear and tape to stick. Ready to do the other side? Okay, we're going to put the tabs in, and we're going to square our box off by first attaching one side to that tear and tape. Just push with your finger. The other side, the same thing. This is why I'm not using wet glue. You see, the tear and tape has its purpose. It serves its purpose. So we're going to push here. And then we're going to go ahead and roll this piece down. Whoops. Make sure it's rolled. And it's going to get stuck to the seam at the bottom. Just like that. And then there is our little box where our hand sanitizer goes in there. Okay, let me grab a hand sanitizer. I have one here up on my desk. I don't know what flavor it is. Let me see. Oh, I can't reach it. All right, sorry, I'm moving my... Here we go. That one's noir. Make sure it sticks. Oh, that piece didn't stay stuck very well. Let me open that and make sure that my piece binds really well to that side there. All right, now we'll put our little noir inside. Okay, so then this is our holder for our hand sanitizer, and now we're going to go ahead and cover it. So our little book binding piece is going to get adhesive on the spine and on the back. Now when you put your adhesive, this book sticks out a little bit, so you don't want to cover the entire piece, but you want to put some on there, right? So let me move this out of the way. Let's get our wet glue, because you guys know it's my favorite. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put some here in the middle. And I don't want to go all the way to the ends because, like I said, parts of it are going to show. And then we're going to do the spine the same way. Okay? And we're going to go ahead and take our box. And we're going to go ahead and fit it into the spine here. Grab that. And it's going to help hold our little box piece in place. And we're going to go ahead and put that over the top. Let me pull out this hand sanitizer temporarily so that our little box can come together. And just make sure that it's even on both sides, that the same amount of paper is sticking out on one side as is on the other, and that you have it in place. And then I like to burnish on the side that has the glue. I'm going to do the same thing on the spine. And there is our basic little book box. Of course, it's not completely glued. Let me put a little bit more glue a little higher up. I didn't put quite as much, but I want to put a little more. All right. Hold that in place and get that to bond. This little piece has to, there we go. That little piece wasn't grabbed very well, now it is. Put a little extra there. All right, sorry guys, I was out of camera, I just realized. All right, so there's our little box ready to go. So now we're going to decorate it. So now we have our basic little box put together. You see, it's not that hard. Yeah, it's some cutting, but it's super fun, and it's a different kind of holder, so I think it's really cool. So we are going to use some different kinds of pieces. I'm pulling them out here. Jasper, what are you doing? Jasper's being so silly. Okay, so we have two pieces of this piece. One's going to be on the inside of the box. One is going to be on the back of the box. And one is going to be on the side for this leaf stitched greenery. Okay. And then I have one that's not embossed with the greenery, the same size, only it just doesn't have any embossing on it. And it is going to be the front of my box for right here. They're all the same size, okay? They're 3 3/4 by 2 5/8. And then the piece for the spine is 3 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. Okay? So let's go ahead and glue all of these pieces down. Let's start with the spine. I'm actually going to use our seal adhesive this time because all of those little, what do you call them? Stitches have holes, and I don't want the wet glue to go through it. So when you use the seal, you just have to be a little bit more careful, making sure that you have all your pieces aligned before you push them into place. So there's that one. Let's do the back. I'm going to do 3, and then I'm going to come down to each of these sides. I don't want any of it to lift. All right, so this is the back. And our seal adhesive is so strong, I just prefer the wet glue. I like the wiggle room that it gives me, but for things like this where you have holes, you don't want that wet glue, right? So there's the back. Now we're going to do the inside panel. So again, we're going to use the same seal. One more stripe in the middle. And then I'm going to put one down each end. All right. And we're going to put this one on the inside and just make sure before I push it down that I have it lined up nicely. Jasper. Sorry, guys. Jasper's trying to get into my adhesive drawer. He's trying to hop in there. Good old Jasper. All right, so there is our front section. What do you guys think so far? Pretty good, right? Now we're going to do the top. I will be using the wet glue for that one. Mr. Jasper. Oh, Lord, I forgot. Okay, we're going to pretend that I didn't do that. I'll give you these measurements real quick. I used the decal edge for rectangles. Okay, I used the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4th from the middle. And I decaled a 1 3/4 by 5/8 inch piece of soft seafoam. And I also decaled a piece of DSP with the 4th one. I cut the whole piece out of the DSP, okay? And so we're going to use this. We're going to put a decaled edge on this side. I forgot that I was going to pop those up, so it works out okay because I didn't get crazy with the glue. And I'll put this on the other side, and we'll attach this on top. So this is the 4th size from the smallest that I cut out of the DSP, and then the soft seafoam piece is 5/8 of an inch by 1 3/4. And that's how I got this little piece right here. Isn't that pretty? Now for the front of the box, we need to use the dimensionals because we want to be able to slide this in. And if we don't use dimensionals, we're not going to have anywhere to slide this in, right? So we definitely need to do that. We also need to wedge this piece in. I did leave some room for it, hopefully. That's going to go right there. And if I didn't leave enough, we could use our little spatula, and I'll show you how to do that. Watch. So we're going to adhere on the bottom, the little piece. I think I did leave enough, but I'm just going to make sure with my little spatula end that it's open, and it is. So we're going to take this piece, and this little 1/2 inch lip is what's going to be used to put adhesive. So we're going to do adhesive on both sides of it with the wet glue. One there and there. And then we're going to slide that in right into that box, okay? And then that's going to be our piece that gets hugged underneath our panel. That's why we needed to put the DSP. Let me raise the camera slightly. Okay. So on this piece, I have a piece of designer series paper that I am using for the little tab. This is 5/8 of an inch by 1 3/4. Oh, I apologize. This piece was not 5/8 of an inch by 1 3/4. It was 3 5/8 of an inch by 1 inch, the soft seafoam piece. Sorry. And then this was the 4th decal. I had the two of them mixed up. So this piece that I'm attaching onto the buckle is 5/8 of an inch by 1 3/4. And the piece of seafoam that I used for my, you know, just so that I could have a little pop of seafoam color on that front panel, that piece was 1 inch by 3 5/8, and then I used that 4th decaled edge to cut that. So since I'm going to be sliding this in, I don't want any dimensionals here in the middle. So what I'm going to be using, I'm going to show you, I always save the ends of my dimensionals whenever I have them, and I use them for lots of things. So I think these 4 here should fit on the back. Yep, perfect. I'm going to put that down this edge. I'm going to put the other set of 4 from the other side on this side. Since that piece is going to be sliding in and out, I want it to be really secure, and so I'm just going to use these edges. And then it's not quite enough support, so I'm going to put another line. So let's see how many of these we need. Maybe 6? Yeah, about 6. So I'm going to cut 6 of these little guys. I'm going to put it in a little bit more. And then let's cut 6 from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Just like that. And that still leaves us enough room in the center here to slide that buckle in and out of that panel. So let's go ahead and let me get my cap for my glue. Let's get all of these little tear and tape pieces in the garbage. Hopefully they don't end up on my craft room floor. They're kind of slippery like the dimensional backing, so you got to be careful with them. They like static. All right, so let's go ahead and switch this back from the spatula to the pointy. And I still pull them off, even the long strips, with my take your pick tool. So there they are, okay? Trash they go. And then this gets attached onto the front of our box. Okay, we're gonna leave a little edge all the way around as much as we can. There we go. So there is our box top. And as you can see, the buckle slides in perfectly. And if you wanted to put another piece of DSP on here, you certainly could. This paper is really beautiful. This is the one that I used here. And I do have a small piece, or I could use a piece of this green leaf right there, but I kind of like that it's the same and then you get that pop of color when you pull out. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. All right, let's talk about the flower embellishment on the top. So I have already stamped the small flower from the stamp set. You have a small one and a large one. I stamped it in soft succulent ink. And then I stamped the leaves in soft seafoam, and I used the 2 leaves, okay? Then I took my sponge dauber, and I have mine marked with the colors, so the soft seafoam, and I dipped it in, and I just colored my flower with soft seafoam, and then I went over the leaf area with soft seafoam as well. That's all I did. And then for my thank you, I stamped it on a piece of soft seafoam in soft succulent, and I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut that out for you guys. I just didn't want to take the time. Those were die cut, the flower and the leaf. I didn't want to take the time to do that because I knew that the box, explaining it and showing you the diagram and all that might take a little while. So I figured you guys know how to stamp and die cut out, and if you don't and you're new to my channel, just let me know. I'll be happy to help you. But I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut out this word thank you. I really think it's so pretty. This is such a pretty font that they use. They really do a good job, I think, with picking the different fonts for the stamp sets, because I love letters and all different styles. And I just think that the fonts make the projects, you know, they make them just the right level of fancy or casual depending on what you use. So I think lettering is really important to a project. You go through all the trouble of hand making it, that you should pick a really cool font for whatever it is that you want to say. All right, so I'm glad that they give us so many different ones in our stamp sets. Okay, so there's my thank you. I fussy cut that out. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the 2 of them. So I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue on the back of this leaf here. And I'm going to stick it to my flower. Oh, right about there. And then I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to put dimensionals on it and on my thank you. And of course, you guys know I love to use a lot of dimensionals, so don't be surprised by how many I use on this small flower. Okay, here's one for the thank you. I think I'll do that one. The rest are going to be minis. So I'll put a mini on each of those leaves, and then I'm going to put a mini on these areas of the thank you so that it has nice support. Okay, so there are our dimensionals. And wait till I show you the loose gems. They're so pretty. I'll show you the finished box in a second. Let me finish pulling all these backs off. And then I'll show you the loose dots. So they come in a little plastic container in a baggie. So they're called loose frosted dots. I'm going to show those to you. I'm glad I'm still zoomed in. Look at how beautiful and sparkly they are. And there's pink and blue and yellow, like a blue-green. They're just gorgeous. So we'll be using those in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and attach our sentiment to the bottom here. I'm going to start with that. And then we'll put our flower on in this direction. I really love this print. I think it's so pretty. The DSP is stunning in this set. So we'll put our flower there. And then let's use some of these blue ones. So because they're loose, they don't have any sticky on the back. So what you want to do is you want to put a dot, and you don't need a big dot, just a real teeny dot. So just make sure that you barely squeeze anything. There's one there. I'm going to put a bigger one down here. Same size dot though of glue. And then I'm going to put one over here on this flower, on that leaf. So you're going to squeeze out 3 dots. Let me see if I can bring it up to the camera so that you guys can see the size of the glue dots that I used. So there's one tiny dot. I know it's hard to see. It's in between those 2 lines. And then there's one right there. And those are going to take the glue, and then I put one on that leaf there. So what I'm going to do is going to use my Take Your Pick tool and the putty end, and we'll grab one of these big guys. We'll put him here. And see how it just sticks right to that glue. I'm going to try and get one of these smaller ones. Maybe the medium size, and then the baby will be the last one. So we'll put this one here. Perfect. And that little baby one, hopefully I can pick that one up. Yep. Oh, I dropped it. All right, so let's see if I can flip him over, because there it is. Let's move the other ones out of the way this time, so if I drop it. All right, so there's the little baby. I'm going to go ahead and drop that one down. I think they're so pretty. And there are the little dots, the loose frosted dots is what they're called, loose frosted dots on our project. And let's go ahead and put our hand sanitizer in there now. Now you have to give it a minute to set. The glue has to set. So you have to give that a minute, but there's our hand sanitizer. And there's our frosted dots. I'm gonna clean up a little bit. I'll bring the camera back up so that I can bring all the products out again for you guys to see. I'm gonna clean my area because I've made a little bit of a mess. I'm really good at that. Hey, Jasper was pretty well behaved today for being normally, rogue. Hopefully that's good. So there's I'll have that one open there for you. And we used the decal edged rectangles, the Irresistible Blooms, and the matching dies, which I'm telling you, these dies are fantastic. And then, of course, the Stitch Greenery die. And I also wanted to point out that with this release, this online exclusive release, they're going to have this fantastic set of basic embossing folders. There's 3 folders in here. One is a polka dot. One is this hashtag, which is what I used on Sunday's card. There it is in person. So see that hashtag? Isn't that gorgeous? One is like a little star. You can kind of see the stars there. And then the other one is this really deep polka dot. They almost look like those old-fashioned candies that used to come on paper that were like those big dots. So you have 3 folders. I always mark mine with the names so that I can put them back where they belong. And since they all come in the same pack, I just named them Basics 3D 1, 2, and 3. And so they all live in the same little, the same little holder. It's just a bigger piece of cellophane here that holds them all. But yeah, this is a great little set because they are real basic and they work kind of across all lines with flowers, with whimsical things. It's fantastic. All right, guys, I guess I'm going to let you go. You guys have been super quiet tonight. I don't know what to think. I don't know if that means you don't like what I'm doing or you're just busy. But I appreciate you being here. Does anybody have any questions? You're welcome, Rita. Thanks, Eileen. All right, guys, I guess I'm going to let you go. Thanks for being here. Have a great night, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up on the video for me. I appreciate that. Share this video with your friends. That really helps. Even if you don't purchase anything from me, sharing your video really helps me to grow my channel, and I appreciate that. Okay, this is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!